Dynamics 365 implementation, realistic timeline and budget for midsize companies. Hey, welcome. In this video, we're breaking down Dynamics 365 implementation, realistic timeline and budget for midsize companies. Let's get into it. Now, what does Dynamics 365 implementation cost? A realistic range. Dynamics 365 implementation cost for a midsize company typically falls between $75,000 and $300,000 for the initial deployment, with ongoing annual costs of $20,000 to $80,000 for licensing, support, and refinements. That range is wide because the modules you choose, the degree of customization, and the quality of your existing data all push the number in very different directions. A clean CRM-only rollout with minimal customization and well-organized data can land at $75,000 to $120,000. Add ERP functionality, complex integrations, or significant Dynamics 365 customization, and you're looking at $200,000 to $400,000. Enterprise-scale finance and operations projects with global rollouts routinely exceed $500,000. Licensing is separate from implementation services, and it compounds every year. Microsoft prices Dynamics 365 per user per month. Let's talk about moving on to how long does a D365 implementation take. Dynamics 365 implementation typically takes 3 to 18 months depending on modules, users, and customization complexity. That's not a vague hedge. The honest answer is it depends on three things: what you're implementing, how much custom development is involved, and how ready your team is to make decisions quickly when the project needs them. A Dynamics 365 CRM implementation covering sales and customer service modules for a 50 to 150 user company typically runs 4 to 6 months. The phases break down roughly as: UAT almost always takes longer than planned. Build buffer into your timeline or you'll delay go-live to fix issues that surface a week before your target date. Next up, let's talk about Dynamics 365 modules. Which one does your business actually need? The Microsoft Dynamics 365 platform is not one product. It's a suite of applications that can be deployed individually or together. Buying more than you need on day one is one of the most common and expensive mistakes midsize companies make, and it's also one of the most avoidable. D365 Business Central is designed for SMBs with 10 to 300 users. It covers finance, inventory, purchasing, sales order management, and basic manufacturing. If you're running QuickBooks, Sage 50, or a homegrown system and you've grown past what those tools can handle, Business Central is almost always the right starting point. For Dynamics 365 for small business deployments specifically, Business Central's licensing model and implementation timeline make it far more accessible than the full finance and operations suite. Working with a qualified Dynamics 365 Business Central partner matters here because the system's flexibility is also its trap. You can configure it cleanly or turn it into a customization problem that costs twice as much to maintain. Now, moving on to how Dynamics 365 customization affects your budget. Dynamics 365 customization is where projects go sideways. Every custom field, custom workflow, custom report, and custom integration adds to your implementation cost and, more critically, to your long-term maintenance cost. Microsoft releases 2 major platform updates per year. Heavily customized deployments cost more to upgrade and carry more risk with each release cycle. The principle most experienced partners apply: configure where the standard product can meet the business need, and customize only where it genuinely cannot. If your partner is pushing heavy customization early in discovery before they fully understand your processes, that's worth questioning. Configuration means adjusting what's already built in the product. Custom development means writing code to change or extend the platform. The CRM implementation cost difference between these two approaches can be dramatic. A sales process automation that takes 4 hours to configure can take 40 hours to build as a custom solution if the team doesn't know the platform well enough to use what's already there. Next up, now, how to choose a Dynamics 365 implementation partner. Choosing the right Dynamics 365 implementation partner is arguably more important than the platform itself. A poor implementation of good software will fail just as reliably as the reverse. The partner's methodology, industry experience, and team stability matter more than their rate card. Microsoft's partner program has multiple tiers. A Microsoft Solutions Partner designation for business applications means the partner has met Microsoft's technical and customer success benchmarks. It doesn't guarantee a good fit for your specific industry or company size, and the badge alone should not be the deciding factor. What to look for beyond certification? Let's talk about now, Dynamics 365 versus Salesforce. Which CRM makes more sense? The Dynamics 365 versus Salesforce question comes up in almost every D365 evaluation. Neither platform is universally better. The right choice depends on your existing technology stack, your industry regulatory requirements, and whether you value ecosystem integration or CRM feature depth more. For companies already running on Microsoft 365, Azure, and Teams, D365 wins on integration simplicity and total cost of ownership over 3 years. Salesforce connects to those tools, but it adds an integration layer that costs money to build and maintain. We've published a detailed Dynamics 365 versus Salesforce comparison if you want the full module-by-module breakdown. The CRM implementation cost difference between the two platforms is smaller than most buyers expect when you factor in Salesforce AppExchange costs, which can add $30,000 to $100,000 per year for a mid-size company with specialized workflow needs. D365's native Power Platform integration reduces dependence on third-party apps for automations that Salesforce handles with paid add-ons. Let's talk about next up, Dynamics 365 migration services, moving from existing systems. Dynamics 365 migration services cover the process of moving your data and business processes from legacy systems, Salesforce, SAP, Oracle, or custom-built applications into D365. This is consistently the most technically demanding part of any implementation and the one most frequently under-budgeted in the initial proposal. Moving from Salesforce to Dynamics 365 is one of the most common migration paths we handle, and it is not as straightforward as vendors sometimes suggest. The data models differ in meaningful ways. Salesforce relationships don't map 1:1 to D365 entities. Customizations built in Salesforce using validation rules, flows, and custom objects need to be rebuilt natively in D365, not migrated directly. Plan for 8 to 16 weeks of dedicated data migration work running parallel to your configuration track. Budget for data cleansing even if you believe your Salesforce data is clean. After 5 or more years in any CRM, it rarely is. Next up, let's talk about what a realistic implementation budget looks like. Here is a concrete example for a 150-person logistics company implementing Dynamics 365 Business Central with the sales module and 2 external integrations. These numbers assume a competent partner, reasonable scope discipline, and data that's in workable condition. Add 20 to 30% if your data is poor, your processes are undocumented, or you need significant Dynamics 365 customization on top of the standard product. Next up, moving on to conclusion. Dynamics 365 implementation cost is predictable when you scope thoroughly and choose a partner with real delivery experience in your industry. The companies that exceed their budgets almost always made one of 3 mistakes: they underscoped the project in discovery, they chose a partner on hourly rate rather than fit, or they underestimated the complexity of their data migration. All 3 are avoidable with the right process. A structured blueprint sprint surfaces the real scope before you commit to a budget. And working with a team that has delivered hundreds of D365 projects means you're not subsidizing anyone's learning curve on your timeline. If you're evaluating Dynamics 365 implementation cost for your business and want a realistic, no surprises estimate based on your actual situation, would be glad to walk through it with you. The first conversation costs nothing. A mismanaged implementation costs far more than the numbers in any proposal.